1998 until COVID, I went 20 years in a row. And it's just so much a part of my life on every sort of part. I've even brought my family up here at times to be a part of it, even though I don't drive a truck. I worked for Overdrive Magazine for 15 years, and then I got the opportunity to work for truckstop.com, so I've got the opportunity to work for two of the most iconic leading companies inside of trucking. It's been fantastic, but missing these last 2 years being here where the truckers are, the owner-operators are, it's like a part of me was missing. You know what I mean? Like part of my life was missing. And I know some people that are outside of trucking, and I'm going to say something you guys already know, I know they don't get it. They just don't get it. But there's something unique about this industry. I mean, not just that we run the heartbeat of America, you know, nobody eats without us, nobody gets anything without us, but more than that, this is its own culture. And so from truckstop.com and from me, Brent Hutto, and my wife and my 6 kids, it's just good to be back here. It's just really, really good to be back here. And so thank you for coming in today and being a part of this. By the way, first off, here's how cool this industry is. I was here, we did a little dinner thing about 8 years ago, and a husband and wife came and were part of it, and they brought their son. He was like 8 years old. He's like this big. He has a little toy in there playing. I gave him a little toy truck. Really, really neat, cool kid. They're back here right in this room right now. So it's Bruce and Sheila and their son Lawrence. If you guys don't mind standing up real quick, you're going to notice Lawrence is a little taller than 8 now. I'm telling you, man, it was we stay in touch. I get emails every once in a while. They're better at staying in touch with me every once in a while. Hey, I saw you doing this. But this is what this industry is about. It's about being connected. It's about family. It's about, even though you may not be related, we treat each other like family. And that's what's so cool about trucking. I tell everybody it starts at truck stop. This will be the best job you've ever had, and you'll never want to leave it once you're in the middle of it because it's such a great marketplace. So we're here today to talk about negotiating and getting paid more as an owner-operator. How many of you guys are owner-operators out there? All right, it's really hard. Okay, a bunch of you guys, fantastic. How many of you are truckstop.com customers? All right, a bunch of you out there. How many of you will always want to maximize how much you get paid for a load? Okay, we should have 2 hands at one time. Everybody up? All right, and a leg, and like this. It should be like that. Look, I love truck stop, but if they stop paying me, I'm going to stop showing up, right? Okay, so getting paid is important, all right? And I know, because we hear from you guys, by the way, truck stop does business with 70,000 owner-operator companies. That's a lot of trucks. It's about 150,000 trucks that use our service every week. I don't say every day because a truck doesn't need to unload every day. They use it every week, and so it's an amazing ability to hear from the part of the market on what they need. And I can tell you without a doubt, 79-point-something% of you guys don't like negotiating with a broker. Because in a sense, who's got the upper hand? Yeah, there you go. A guy that negotiates all day. Well, you know who negotiates all day long? Brokers do. And they're really good at it. And they're fantastic at it. We love them. We do business with 10,000 broker companies. So we love them because if you don't have them, you don't have a marketplace that can work. And so the goal of this time we're together here is to help you understand how to communicate with a broker. All right? How to communicate with them. Look, I got married to Teresa back in 1995. I communicate very differently with her than I do with my buds I went to college with or went to high school with. Is that fair? All right? Because I want something from her, like her, her admiration and love towards. So my communication is very different. It's not a whole lot different than when you're communicating with a broker. You need something from them, all right? They provide incredible service in the marketplace. So the gentleman that's going to come up, and I did this 3 years ago here, and it was a big hit, on how do you communicate to get what you want, which is the best freight in the lane that you want at the best rate you want. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to invite, do you do the slides, Curtis, in the back? Okay, go to the second slide, if you don't mind. So joining me on the stage, there you go. What's it? Oh, I got it down here. I forget. Can you go to the next slide? There we go. Come on up, Tyler. All right, everybody give Tyler a big hand. All right, so this is my friend Tyler Johnston. He and I have known each other for about 5 years, and he is, yeah, they're very bright. He leads freight brokerage and carrier operations.
Yes.
And carrier operations for Mercer Transportation, located in Louisville, Kentucky. That's right, Louisville. Say it any way you want to. When I talked to Tyler a few years ago, I said, hey, I'd really like to communicate. We as Truck Stop always want to be educational. We want to help. And so would you mind coming to do this? He jumped at the chance of doing it. All right, so I'm going to roll through a few slides at first. And then
I figured out why. I just want to pause you right
yeah,
there
for
just a second. See, I'm up here to give away the secrets of the trade, right? And that's what he conned me into that. But then I realize there's two people that don't like talking more than me and you while we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there watching us. So that's what it is. It's because we just love talking. We love drivers. We love trucks. And we love owner-operators. So here we go. I'll give you the secrets of the trade.
That's right.
Not too much, though.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Well, the whole point is that how do you create a scenario where both parties get what they need?
It is.
Somebody say win-win scenario. I don't know if I always believe in that, but how do you get what you need? So truckstop.com is a mission. We believe in the transparency of information. All right? Because we live in an internet age today, information is really important. If somebody doesn't tell you everything they can about themselves, we inherently, because we know we can get that information from somebody else, we don't trust them as much. So Truckstop believes in the transparency of information. This is Matt's 50th anniversary. Well, it was our 26th anniversary this past summer. So we've been around for a long time. We actually started when the internet started, and in 1995, when everyone got public access to the internet. So I put that up there because this is Scott Mosgrip in the spring of 1995 at a show at his desk by himself. He was the only one in the booth. This is him, isn't it? So he looks like a young guy. He's only 1 year older than me, by the way. So, but she'll go to the next slide. So here's why we at Truckstop, I believe in data. We believe in data. We believe in communicating transparently to you. This market is changing. All right? Who's been in the market 10 years? Who's been driving the truck for 10 years? Come on, there's got to be a bunch of hands. Okay, less than 10 years? Okay, a bunch. Okay,
brand new. All
fantastic.
Right.
This market is changing, and I didn't realize this until the pandemic started. And I started looking at the pressure points in the marketplace. When was it so much more advantageous for a carrier to haul load because the demand for freight was high and the rates were high? So I started doing a little bit of research going backwards. In the last 18 years, we've had 4 capacity crunches. All right, that seems like a pretty good spread, okay? There's some ups and downs in any economic market, but here's the cool thing. Go to the red line. There's been 3 in the last 6 years. If you want to know something that drives a manufacturer or what's known as a shipper in this marketplace crazy, it's big fluctuations in rate changes and the ability not to get capacity. We've had 3 in the last 6, which has been crazy for this marketplace. So there are some changes happening in this market. The reason I want you guys to pay attention to data is because when you can see how data changes, and we see this on truckstop.com every single week, when you can see how that data changes, you can take the best advantage of it for your business. All right? That's super important. So you see the changes, 2003, 2014, 17, 18, the highest market we've ever had in this market since deregulation, until we had a pandemic. And we got the highest market, and it's still going. It's been 22 months of a crazy high marketplace. Great for carriers and good for brokers as well. Not so good for shippers who are trying to move goods. Not so good for us as consumers. Inflation, it moves inflation up. So the reason I want to point this out to you is that the commonality on those 4 things changes in the market is this: government involvement. I'm not complaining about our government. I think America has a great government. I'm just saying when the government gets involved, things change in what we do. Right? People would say, oh, well, it was the virus. It's not the virus. It's how we reacted to it as a populace requested by our government. So notice that when the government changes things, you can watch the ups and downs in the market. The truck stop data is the leading indicator to all that. So you guys can have free, if you're not a customer, you can still get free access to it. I'll talk to you about that in a few minutes. Go to the next slide. I'm wrong way. I can do this one again, though.
We can do that one, yeah.
Reason this is important is data is automating in the market. There's roughly 337 million people. It's a lot of people in the United States. By the way, we're the largest consuming country in the world by a factor of double the second country per household. So we have twice as much to spend as this second place country. We're the best consumers in the world, and we all live through that. There's 4 million shippers, so that's manufacturers. There's 750 million truckloads of freight that move in America. About 100 million move in the spot market where truckstop.com and Mercer brokerage works in. There's about 500,000 carriers. You'll see here a lot of different numbers, but there's about 500,000. One truck carriers to Knight Swift, which has 28,000 trucks. All right? There's 3.5 million trucks. By the way, there's no more trucks in the market today than there were 20 years ago. So how in the world are we moving all this freight better? Well, the freight system in America is actually really efficient and very good, even through the pandemic. And then there's 20,000 brokers in the market. Just take Any of those, that's a lot of data. And I know sometimes data can be overwhelming. I love data. I'm not a data nerd or a data geek. I do love math, but that's a lot of data. But if you can pay attention, if somebody can give it to you where you can make it into information, it's really powerful for you, like super powerful. So one reason why we at Truckstop believe in the transparency of information, because if we put it in your hands to make decisions, we hope, and if you use it properly, your life will get better. You'll be able to run your operation more efficiency. You'll be able to make more money for you and your families. So it's super important. So next slide, sir. Why is this important? When I got into the market, I got in 2013. This is how much freight was moved in the spot market. You know those 100 million loads I was talking about? This is how much is moved in the spot market. Just move it up and look what's happened in 9 years. There's 30% plus freight moved in the market, in the spot market. This is the independent owner-operator carrier marketplace that hauls truckload freight. Notice where the arrow is, the line is going. It's going up. This marketplace is going to get fundamentally more and more freight in it, and your business can have fundamentally more and more access to it. This marketplace is going to continue to expand. This helps the brokerage industry because they're the sales agent for you into the marketplace. This marketplace is going to continue to grow. You should be smiling about this. All right? I hope that you're smiling. Yes, sir? No, sir. It's not because more company drivers are leaving. It's because there's more demand for freight and because this has become a legitimate marketplace. It used to just be kind of a backhaul marketplace, but now it's an any-haul marketplace. So when the owner-operators go on truckstop.com, 73% of the searches are from anywhere to anywhere. So it's not home and going out or out and I'm going to backhaul home. It's anywhere in the market. It's a legitimate marketplace because it's more trusted now. You've got more players in the market that can be trusted.
And that's a huge misconception, too,
that
about
is,
the 73%.
Oh, yeah. Most people think it's a backhaul market. It's absolutely not. Hey, you guys come on in. Take a seat. But there's no exit of company drivers. Remember I said there's 3.5 million trucks? When I started in January 1998, getting in the trucking industry, working for Overdrive, an iconic magazine. I didn't hardly know anything about trucking other than the fact I used to load them on the dock at my dad's steel processing company, trying to get the fork truck on the truck and not kill my brothers at the same time, right? So there's the same number of trucks in the market, which means there's the same number of drivers. There are company drivers that are leaving the company driver ranks and going into the owner-operator business because the rates are so high right now. And you see that happen all the time. Truckstop.com has added 20,000 owner-operator carriers just in the last 19 months. So there's no more trucks, but how they operate is different. So that's a great question. Next slide. I'll let you talk about this one.
Yeah,
so
the
effective technology.
Well, essentially, it's the automation of data. And like you said, and you made a really good point, when you turn data into information to influence your decision making is when that comes important. You know, I think long ago when people used the Farmer's Almanac to determine the weather patterns and what's going on, and just how much technology and information has shifted that. This brokerage trucking industry is kind of on the same lines. New technology is introduced in the trucking industry every day, and there's a lot of it now. And it's meant to do two things. It's either going to improve your process, so it's going to improve me on the keyboard and what I do, or it's going to improve my decision making. Those two things are always going to lead to three effects. It's going to become very fast-paced, very transactional in nature, and more competitive. All of our, you know, when you talk about turning data into information and how it can influence decision making, all that does is make the marketplace more pointed and more specific. And the trends don't happen over 6 months. It doesn't take 6 months to have these market swings anymore. Those things happen in days, in hours. Because that information's out there. That information's out there and free for people to utilize. So it's having a very profound effect on the brokerage industry.
Sure does. And so technology, I know sometimes in an owner-operator's world is like, they're just trying to control me. They're trying to track where I am. It's oversight I don't need. Hopefully technology, when properly used, helps you just grow your business and helps you make the decisions you want to make for your business. So that's the goal on Truckstop as a tool, right? So next slide. All right, so this is a slide that's really unique. You want to see what the spot market's been the last 18 months? The red lines are where the normal used to be. This is what it's been, up to 1.8 million loads in a day but it's been 1 million loads or more a day since January 26th of 2021. It's a lot of options for you in the marketplace, a tremendous amount of options. So I say that, I show you this just because the market has so much more freight in it fundamentally than it has before, and because it's been driven by the consumers are purchasing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great part of it's a great time to get in the market. It's a great time to grow your business. It's a great time to save. It's a great time to think about how you want to build your business or how you want to manage it. You might want to only work 8 months a year. I saw a great statistic last week when I was at the Truckload Carriers Conference given by a guy who manages 20,000 owner-operators, and he said it's interesting how the owner-operators are working less as they're making more.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're you're shaking your head. So because you know what? You have more. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Saves your equipment.
Right, saves your equipment.
Right.
And you get more options to live the life you want. That's what we all want. That's what you got into business for, so you can run your own life and you can be your own boss into it. So I'll show you this just to let you see how high the market is going. If you don't mind the next slide. All right, so here we're going to jump into why you're here. I set all that up because data in your hands helps you negotiate like a broker.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the data as a carrier, you can talk to the broker like they talk to you and talk in the same language. I love this quote by JFK. You cannot negotiate with people who say, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is negotiable.
You sound like him.
I'm okay.
That's good.
I'm not from Massachusetts, but he did a lot of cool things for our country. So this is a great phrase.
That is a great phrase.
All right, it's a great phrase because in the end, you want to be able to create a relationship with the person that you're moving freight for that's at least beneficial for both of you. All right, so you ready to jump into it? All right, remember I set the data up so you'd have data in your hands when you negotiate with the broker. So we're going to go through some things. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Why is this important? Is negotiation important? Who would like more money in their pocket? Okay, Brent Hutto, if I could use all legs, and I'd say yes, that'd be great.
Me.
Okay? The last time we did this, I based it on a figure that was lower, but it's a higher number because, and I'll let Tyler tell you why. If you'll click, there's a progression on this slide. Go just one click. So, here we go.
Rolling.
If you could get 25 cents more a load, what does that mean to you? Last time I did this, I based on 7 cents because it was a tighter market. Right now, why did we change this to 25 cents, Tyler?
Just because capacity is so tight right now, and there's so much demand for truckload business across the United States that the market's it's a little bit looser, yeah.
Right. So guys are really negotiating more than a few pennies with you.
Yes.
They're negotiating dimes.
Yes.
Sometimes quarters.
And sometimes get
Sometimes quarters.
absolutely.
Okay. What does a quarter mean to you? Go to the next one. An average haul, 1,400 miles, which is on our system. That's about the average length of a haul. 350, which means you get $350 more a load. Sounds great, right? That's not too bad. It's a few more Christmas presents. What does it really mean at the end of the year? Go to the next one. All right, 100,000 miles is an average. That's average. That's not a whole lot of miles. I talked to a guy last night that was driving 144,000 in a year. He said he's already made $58,000. We're not even done with March.
Mm-hmm.
If you just divide that out, that's 71 loads a year. Who would like, if you'll click the next one, who would like $25,000 more to just to have his fun money? Okay? The Huttos would. Remember, I've got 6 kids. Okay? I'd like some of your $25,000 because I got 6 kids. Okay? I'm doing a little bit more than the national average. Here's the point. When you can negotiate and you can meet the broker's need and your need, it's quantifiable in your business. It's quantifiable in your business. I'm pointing the screen like you can see it. It's quantifiable in your business. All right?
Tons
It's
of money.
always good. Remember, I'm not a data nerd, but I'm a math guy. It costs a whole lot more money to pay for 6 children than it does for 2, so I'm a math guy. This is important for you guys to negotiate the best you can in every single load. If you don't have the information, you can't negotiate it. Let's go to the next slide. So we're going to jump into how do you start well.
Oh, I love this.
This is so important because remember I talked about if I would have walked up to my wife and said, hey, baby, look at me. Don't you want to marry me? Is that going to work? Probably not. All right, so I got to have different language. So Tyler, jump into why this language is important.
We should really change it to, instead of negotiation, we talk about building a relationship
Sure, absolutely.
that's beneficial to
Yeah.
both of us. And I don't see any one of those. I love the first one, the rate is cheap. That insinuates 2 things. Hang on. So that insinuates, me as the broker, I am either a complete idiot and don't have a clue that my rate is cheap, and congratulations, you just made this revelation to me that my rate is cheap, and I need to go back to work, and I'm the worst broker of all time. Or we stated the obvious. I already know my rate's cheap. I know that and we haven't gotten anywhere. We put a very, very important phrase down there at the bottom. Don't define the problem, define the solution.
Well, I'm seeing some of them may not be able to see it.
Oh,
Can y'all
really?
see the screen okay?
My bad.
I'll move this out of your way. There you go. I'm just realizing that.
And look, I mean, so we hear that all the time. The rate is cheap. And quite frankly, it's not, I don't want to say the word offensive, but it didn't get us anywhere. I mean, what are we doing here? And number two, what's your best rate? Whenever I heard that, when I used to be a broker and broker loads, I'm thinking, do you want me to dream something up? Again, I don't know where we stand. What relationship have we developed? What do I know about what do I know about your circumstances and what I can do for you to help us come to a mutual solution? And other brokers have it posted for more. Well, why are you on the phone with me? Solid question. I hear that one all the time, and honestly, I have given that response before. Why are you on the phone with me? And again, it's not something to be contentious about or anything. We're trying to solve a problem here.
Right.
You all have trucks, I have loads. Let's marry those up.
Right. Okay, so when your reps are on the phone, your carrier management people are on the phone.
Right.
A carrier manager is the guy that talks to you guys about getting their freight on your truck. So that's how a broker, that's the carrier management department.
Mm-hmm.
So they're managing the freight to move on that truck. Are they humans?
Yes, yeah, very much
sure?
so. Some can be a little robotic at times, or a little savage at times. But yes, we have feelings.
Savage?
We are people. Sometimes.
So so they've got a job to do too, right?
Yes.
Right. So, but I think the important thing to remember is that you're talking to another person who has a responsibility too. So how do you negotiate through this? I realize we talked about relationship.
Right.
But the negotiation is relationship. Remember that I said that 79% of our owner-operators said negotiation is something they don't like to do. Right? So where does this put the relationship when it starts?
And honestly, I want to, and yeah, you said that perfect. 79% say that negotiation is something they don't like to do. Mm-hmm. Guys, 79% of brokers, negotiation isn't something we necessarily like to do either.
Oh, really?
We want to build a relationship. We want you all calling. We want to hear from you. The quicker we can get to a solution without going back and forth and getting a load on your all's backs and getting it off of our screen and getting our customer happy, that is the goal. It is not to nickel and dime everybody out of every penny we can get. I promise.
Right. So starting well is really important.
Very, very important.
Okay, so my dad, I told you I worked for my dad. My dad was a 6'5" ex-professional football player. He's a huge guy. And I ran track. I did a bunch of sports in high school, but also ran track. And my dad would always say, you got to come out of the blocks well. Because you can't win the race if you don't start well. Right? He would always say that to me. I had to respect him because he accomplished a lot athletically, and he's my dad, and he's huge. He could squash me like a rock. Unfortunately, he married a woman 5'1", so we're not 6'5", okay? But I'm okay with that. So starting well is so important because it sets the tone. Try to call your cable company and get what you want, or your telephone provider if you've got a problem, and just start off just yelling at them. You're not going to get what you want. All right, so it's so important to start well. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so another thing about starting well is the information.
The information.
Yeah.
We're talking about coming to a solution on a mutual problem, and we both need information.
Right.
So equipment, complete details. What do you have? For instance, if you have a hot shot, or if you're running a hot shot and you're calling on a flatbed load, I'd like to know in the beginning that you have a hot shot, and I'm going to try to work on a solution for you. Your actual location.
Actually, some people say they're in a different location. Does that happen sometimes?
Yeah, well, they won't give complete details on
okay.
how far they have
Why
to
is that
drive
important?
or anything. Because it would help in the negotiation conversation or the relationship building. If I know that you have 250 miles to drive on the front end, and I know why you're asking for $500 more on a load, I'm going to be much more empathetic to your needs, or to work on a solution for you. Maybe I have something that I haven't even posted yet. That doesn't happen very often, Brent. I know Truck Stop doesn't want to hear that. But that I haven't posted yet that could be only 100 miles in the different direction. It's all about building that. And again, you put the best sayings at the bottom. Can everybody see that?
Right.
Broker, by asking you these questions, or you all providing this information, all it does is allow me to work for you and come up with the best solution for you. Tell me what works best for you. Why are you looking to go to Texas? Why are you looking to go to Florida? Maybe we can come up with a solution on that end as well. Let me ask you this. Has anybody developed a relationship with a good broker out there that they call often?
Okay,
right?
One.
Raise your hands.
One. Raise your hand high. I want to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Your lights are killing me. 10, 11, 12. Oh, you had a half hand. Is that a half hand? Okay, that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, about 20 people.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you all still negotiate every single load with that broker, or have you all built a relationship where some of the stuff you can get right off hand, right?
50-50? Sometimes
50-50.
you do, sometimes you don't. Fair enough.
Sometimes. Well,
Yeah.
on some of the back hauls and some of the
Right.
head hauls or
Right.
continuous movement shipments. But that's what we're all looking to get. I want your repeat business. I want you to call me back.
Right.
How am I going to do that if I nickel and dime you, or I don't know where you want to go, or
Right.
what you want to do, or what your equipment is? That's the stuff that's the good sauce. When I'm talking about giving away the
Right.
secret sauce, that is it.
Yeah, so two things. Number one, we don't want all the brokers freight on our board. I know that sounds funny. It sounds anti-productive. Here's what we want. We want their freight to move as fast as possible, and we want that freight to get on your trucks as fast as possible. We are not concerned about it all being in one location on our board, because we know inherently that's not the best for you guys. All right? We're going to be here. We're going to be a part of this marketplace no matter what, because it's necessary for that information to reside there. But when freight moves as fast and as frequently as possible, everybody benefits, and believe it or not, truck stop benefits just as much. But it's got to move in the most efficient way possible. Sometimes that's not on a load board, right? It absolutely, a lot of times
You're
it's
right.
not on a load board. But it's interesting. I love this. Tell me what works best for you. I work for a CEO at Overdrive magazine, and I was in his office one day, and I said, hey, what's one of the things that you wish more employees, we had about 500 employees, would talk to you about? He goes, oh man, I wish they'd tell me what they want out of their career. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, if they just tell me where they want to be in 5 years, or they want to be in 10 years, then I know how to help them. If I don't know how to help them, I'm just doing what I think's best, maybe for them and for our business. But if they tell me where they want to land in 5 years, I'm invested in helping them. I thought that was really cool, and I think about that all the time. The guy's name was Mike Riley. He's a fantastic guy. So it's super important to provide the equipment, location, and to communicate what works best for you. There are times that it's important for you to take freight if you have a relationship with somebody that maybe is not the greatest for you, but it helps them out. Because sometimes that helping somebody out comes back in a much greater benefit later. I got a lot of people shaking their heads, and that's life. That's like helping your friend out of the well. Usually pays off somewhere else down the road. Maybe they'll help you out of a situation or do something else. It's always good to be in service to somebody like that. It's not all the time, because you have a business to run and make a profit. Let's go to the next slide.
You know what's funny about that? Sorry,
What's that?
before we
Yeah.
head, if you combine all three of those, you're basically hiring your own load planner.
Yeah.
You got your full equipment, you got your actual location, you got tell me what works best for you, and you're hiring somebody to find a load for you,
Right.
basically.
And
that's great.
You can call them about things that matches what they like.
Yes.
Yeah, super
absolutely.
important. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, know your data. Talked a little bit about this. Why is them knowing their data, Tyler, important to you as a broker? I got it, why it's important to them. Why is it important to you?
So I want to don't reverse the slides, but go back to when I was talking about the effects of technology
Right.
on the marketplace. Guys, our market has gotten lightning fast and lightning accurate, if that's a term. I'll use it. We're going to go with it. So current market conditions are important, because if you're calling me on a specific lane, and I know that you're hurting to get back to Texas or get back to Florida like I was using earlier, but if we are way off on where the market is and it's just not connecting, we're wasting too much time. Time is an asset in this, in the negotiation process and the relationship building. We need to know, it's important for you all to know so that you know accurate prices and accurate conditions in the marketplace of where you're going, of where you want to go, maybe where home is, but also what you can get out of that market. And all that information, Truckstop does a fantastic job of providing that information to any of their users. And it's really about these technology companies that are starting to aggregate all of this data to turn it into information to influence your decision making. That's super important. And so we're not going by the Farmer's Almanac anymore. We're going to use Doppler when it comes to trucking. Trucking is the real deal now. And I touched on current freight rates,
right.
current trucks in the lane. And Truckstop did a fantastic job on just what those lanes are and where those sit at a real glance of the eye kind of solution for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you saying that about Truckstop, but we would encourage you to use every piece of technology,
Right.
even, dare I say, other competitors to Truckstop that can help you move freight as fast as possible, because we're marketplaces, and you just need to find the freight that's the best for you. We hope that you can find that on Truckstop, but use everything you can, because your return is the most important thing. The healthier you are, the healthier the industry is, the healthier all the companies that serve you can be. So please use as many as you can. There's no one panacea or no one solution that fits everybody.
Do me a favor, Brent.
Yeah.
Now I'm putting you on the spot on this one. This may be a bit old, but
Okay.
to talk about how quick the marketplace goes, what percentage of loads are booked within 60 seconds?
Oh my goodness. When a broker puts, and this is something Tyler and I have talked about, that he educates their brokers on why it's important for them to put all the information on their loads out there, including the rate. The freight on truckstop.com that has all the information on it goes in 60 seconds or less. It moves fast. We even have a thing on our board that shows the latest postings, and it highlights them. That shows you the freight, because the freight moves fast. We did a technology advancement back in 2014 that allowed it to refresh in 20 seconds. So the data got there faster. Every trucker bought the 20-second refresh. We also offered another one that was for 40 seconds on refresh that was less cost. They bought the 20 seconds because time is money and it's irreplaceable. All right, we all have the same amount of time. So super important about this. This is why we've encouraged brokers for years. Please put all the information out there. It's kind of like shopping for a house. My wife loves shopping for houses and looking for houses at times. The ones that don't put a price out there, it's like, don't even look at them. Because who wants to go invest your time into something you can't afford? So always, it's so important. I know I'm like this too, man. I'm like, why wouldn't they all do this? Because the freight on our board, for the brokers that put it on there, it moves 6 times faster than freight that doesn't have complete information on it. Because you don't like to negotiate, you can make an instant decision. That looks like a roundabout appropriate rate. I'll click on that, I'll look at it, I'll call them, because I'm within the universe of like how I can move that for, with the price I can move that for. If not, you're wasting your time. I don't want to waste my time, and the broker's time. So super important. Thank you for bringing that out.
And quite honestly, it trickles back down to this slide that if you don't know your market conditions or your freight rates or trucks in that lane, and you spend all that time calling and calling and calling, guys, the load's gone.
Right. And another thing, and I want to go to the next slide in just a second, but it's super important to know this, that the marketplace that you're in right now, look, guys, this is, as they said in Raising Arizona, the salad days. Anybody remembers that movie? That was a really funny movie I watched in the late 80s. It's such a good market for you guys right now. Every marketplace has like 50 trucks and 5,000 loads. So you got your choice. It's your choice to negotiate whatever price you want. I get that. This is a good time, and I'm proud of this for the carriers in the marketplace. But it's not always like this.
It doesn't last.
All right, it's not always like this. So understanding the densities in a market, how many trucks are in that marketplace, how much freight's moving in that marketplace, gives you an indicator on how you can negotiate and how you both can come to a conclusion on that. Super important to understand this. All this resides on Truckstop. I'll show you this in just a second. If you'll go to the next slide. All right, so this is a new addition. If you haven't seen it on our board, this is not an advertisement. I'm just showing something that I think is super cool, because I like speed. All right, used to be the fast guy when I was younger. Not the fast guy anymore, but I still like speed. All right. It used to be when you clicked into a load on Truckstop, it took you a separate page that had all the information on it. Now you don't have to do that. You click the load line, which is clicked right here. You probably can't see that super well. But it out pops this information that you used to have to go to the next page for. So you don't go to a different page, it just pops right out. Shows you the rate, cost per mile. It also shows you the days to pay, which is the second thing, the most important thing we hear from carriers on the broker they want to do business with. But it gives you all the information, of course, origination, destination, all that. Now there's more information you can click here to take it into that gives you more information about the load. But you can make a snap decision, which time is money. Time is money, so you can make a snap. You could look at all these in a couple of minutes, which it might have taken you a lot longer than that in the past. Yes, sir. Right.
Why is it not there?
Some of them. Well, most of them want you to call and negotiate it because they think that they can get a better price. If you call, they can make $100 more bucks, and if you feel like sometimes you call, you can make $100 more bucks, and so. But honestly, that's fine, and the industry worked that way. But there's more and more people posting their freight rates because this marketplace is beginning to automate more. So good question. But you'll notice I didn't click on that one because it wouldn't give you the cost per mile and all. So, but it gives you that on there. But it's sad. Now I didn't do the auto select. In other words, you can click it where it just brings up the rate first. It does that. We did that. I just didn't do it on this one. My point was speed. All right. You can find the information out super quick. If you'll go to the next slide. Actually, I've blown it up where you can see it better. So good job, Brent. But it kind of gives you an idea. The cool thing is it gives you all the instant information. You can go to the next slide. I talked about that. And then you click in and it gives you the lane densities. Now look, this is pretty good. There's, from where you're going out of and negotiating, there's 295 trucks against 7,584 loads. Guess who has the negotiation advantage? The truck does. So the point is you have the information. Know this going in very quickly. Write them down. Make the phone call. Negotiate the rate on the freight movement if that's what you want. So point is data. Just know how to get to it lightning quick so you can make a decision. Next slide. All right, so this is something big for me and Tyler. It's super something big for me, which is the value of relationships, because consistency creates profitability. And what I mean by that is that, and I talk about this pretty broadly, and I encourage, look, I want you to enjoy your trucking life as much as possible. That's why we at Truck Stop want to help you enjoy it and just drive the truck as much as you want to, and enjoy why you got into that business. But I talk to carriers all the time. It's probably more beneficial for you if you can find 4 or 5 providers of freight. And I say providers, it can be brokers, and probably a good option is to have 3 brokers. If you can get business from a shipper, that's great. That's much harder to deal with than you think, much more costly to deal with than you think. You have to do all of their work too to deal with the shipper. It's not always easy, all right? But find 4 or 5 providers to work with, because consistency creates profitability. Now, I don't want to hinder you from driving all over and I like apple pie in Minnesota, and I like going to this place in Arizona, and I love to come to Alabama because that's where Brent Hutto's from, and that's Sweet Home, Alabama. That's a little plug for myself. But the point is that the consistency of running certain lanes over and over allows you to get what from the broker if you're negotiating?
Top dollar.
Top dollar. Why is that, Tyler? Why? I mean, come on, it's just a load. Aren't they all the same? I mean, why does that matter?
No, because if I've developed a relationship with you and I've consistently worked with you, I know you're providing an excellent service for me, and I could keep going back to you, a reliable carrier, and take care of my customer. Mm-hmm. You know, consistency for me creates profitability as well on the customer-facing end.
Okay.
So the more I can book, the more that I can go back and repeat business with the customer. The more they're going to offer me, the more I'm going to offer you. Right. The trickle-down effect always plays to both hands.
Right. And does it take your carrier managers less or more time?
Oh, less time.
So less time for them means more that they can pay you. Last time I checked, that's a good thing. All right, Colleen, how long do we have in here? It's 1 hour? Okay, thank you. So it goes to 3:45. Great. So we're not.
What time are we at?
Huh?
What time is
it? It's 3:20.
I
just want to make sure. I'm famous for running over time because I'm usually having so much fun talking to you guys, I just forget what time it is. So
having fun.
I can't emphasize this enough. It's about time and trust. Time and trust. Bard's shaking his head. It's about time and trust. If they trust you, if the broker trusts you, or if you're dealing with a shipper, same thing. They trust you, they will pay you more. All right? Because they don't have to worry about it. If you're just a random person hauling from them, nothing wrong with being random. If you're just a person that hauls 1 load a year for somebody, they don't know you, they have to be a little more cautious. Hedge it. Yeah, he's shaking his head too. Shaking it. He said hedge a little more, so I'm a little less willing to give. All right? So it's super important. Consistency creates profitability in anything that you do. It doesn't matter what it is. So think about that as you build your business out, as you're looking at where do I like to run during the fall? I like to see the leaves in the Northeast. Where do you like to run in the winter? Well, I don't necessarily love the ice and snow. Who does as a trucker, right? I'm going to work more out west. I like to work a little bit more out west. So just think about how you want to organize this for your business and just plan accordingly. And the consistent part is going to help you drive your profitability. So you can drive, as this gentleman talked about here, maybe you only drive 8 months a year. And 4 of those months, you get to take off. And if you love college football like I do, you can go to all your team's games. Or you can plant a garden. Or you can do whatever you want to do with your life. That's the most important thing is we have options for our life. The consistency creates the profitability and gives you the ability to do that. Anything else you want to add on that one?
No, and remember, 79%, one more, sorry. Remember, I love to talk. 79% of us, as far as consistency creates profitability, 79% don't like to negotiate, right? I can say the same for brokers. The more we talk to you, the more we develop a relationship with you, the more we can get past that part. Right. I'm not here to just bust everyone for $50. That's not it. I want to move more freight. I want to move it quickly and efficiently.
Right.
Consistency.
And that helps you in your job, right?
Oh, yes.
So your leaders that you work with and for are happier when you move more freight.
It turns out it's wild.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
It's a crazy concept.
And so I'm going to guess whoever you answer to is happier when you're moving more freight at a better profit, right? Okay, she's I just figured that.
Yeah,
she's happy,
there you go.
So fantastic. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so why build relationships? So we talked a little bit about this already. Sorry, I should have gone to this one already. Steady lanes and routes, familiarity equals trust equals higher rates. We kind of went through a scenario on that. Sorry, I should have gone to this slide. Like I said, I get a little going in here with you guys because yes, sir.
Just excited.
Just 1 second. I'm going to let you use the microphone so people can hear you. Alan should have already ringed me up and said, yes, sir, go ahead.
All right, I've been trucking.
The mic's not, it's Curtis, I don't think the mic's on.
Now we're good. He gave us the thumbs up. Give it a test.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go, baby. What's your name?
George Smith.
Hey, George.
Hey, George.
A Transport. Plug for you.
Fantastic.
I've been in business trucking for 30 years.
Fantastic.
And the thing in it is that every one of us, when we start new with somebody, we got to build that trust, make less money. And I can't understand that where I feel like a distrust right off the get-go because why are you paying me less? I'm doing a good job. And you'll see in a week or two how well I do.
Right.
And it's like, and then all of a sudden it's like, and we see all of this, no disrespect, but it's like, this load board has this amount of money and this load board has this amount of money. And it's like, well, we like to talk to him instead of him.
Sure.
So we're calling you to try to get another dollar, or a quarter or whatever. But my question was, why is it that we start off lower because you're unfamiliar with us?
Yeah, I think I'll let you answer that question. I have my own thoughts on it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's a great question, George. Thank you.
Honestly, I think that more comes down to how we do our job, how we get the freight from the customers. It might not be so much you, it might be us, and especially when you see multiple postings where we are. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But when you see multiple postings and things like that, we'll touch on how I do my job and why you're seeing those fluctuations if you do. It is just as important for me to create trust and in a relationship with the customer as it is you guys to me. This is a triangle deal here. So a lot of it with the unfamiliarity and the lower rates can be overcome. It just takes, without giving away too much on what we're going to talk about here.
Let me just say this to you. I know that, think about this. The first time you meet somebody, you don't immediately trust them. They kind of have to prove themselves to you. That's in any relationship. It doesn't mean you don't like them. It just means if I'm exchanging money or I'm exchanging liability, which when freight gets on a truck, there's liability that goes on. I have to be comfortable to a certain level. There's always more risk when you do something the first time with somebody that you don't know than there is if you've done it the 10th or 15th time. I'll also say this to you, that let's say you've just become an owner-operator and you want to get freight and you're having a tough time getting freight, George. But you've been driving a truck for 15 years as a company driver. You just figure, hey, it's a good time for me to get out, take my own risk, become part of the 1% that becomes an independent owner-operator. The market's really good. And you get all this experience, but they won't give you the freight that you want because They can look at when you got your DOT license. They can look, all that data is public, by the way, guys and girls. The thing to do, take your history. Take the companies that you work for and say, here's what I've done, here's my safety record, here's everything else, and present it to them. I mean, we got email, we got things electronic. You can send it over to them. They can check it out. It might take you a little more time to get those first few loads going, but I guarantee you, once they feel comfortable that, oh, wait, this guy or this girl, they've been in the market 10 years. They're fantastic. They're trustable, right? As long as you've got all the rest of the stuff, you got your license, you got your insurance, you got everything else that they need to prove in the marketplace, that onboarding process is super easy for them. But a lot of times, and I see this a lot of times with carriers, they get brand new in the market and they don't get their ducks in a row. It's not just, I got a truck and I'm damn good at what I do and I know it. It's he, and I mean, I don't personalize it, but the broker needs to cover their behind too. They need proof of your performance. They need to understand what you've done in the marketplace so they can be confident, hey, it's no problem for me to put freight on that truck. I promise you, because I've talked to brokers over and over again, the carriers that are new in the market that do that, they say overwhelmingly, oh, I'd put freight on their truck in a heartbeat. But most carriers don't. So it's really just about the data and the information. Again, just get yourself organized. Spend a day or two to get organized. I got a bald-headed guy asking me a question back. Hold on one second. So that's how that works. So one question, then we're going to jump to the next one. Then we'll answer as many questions at the end as you want.
Yeah, I got, and not to add right now, but
go
I
ahead.
got some more stuff to talk about and paint some scenarios to you to try to overcome that quickly.
Yeah, sure. Yes,
That's
sir.
something that we'll be talking about.
Oh, thanks, Tyler.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What's your name? And
My name is Michael
I
O'Leary.
like your haircut.
Thank you.
Hi, Michael.
I've been working for years
Yeah.
on this. I'm a fleet owner. We've
Okay.
got over 100 trucks running
Fantastic.
under our authority
Yeah.
that navigate in the spot market. I'm also the
Oh, wow.
founder of one of those pesky data aggregators, and we are a software development firm that has created mobile apps and systems that
Right.
are designed to support the owner-operators. And
Are you the Beyond Trucks guy?
I am not.
Okay.
It's Drive Digital.
Drive Digital. Okay,
So,
fantastic.
and I wanted to get back to something because, this was, you were talking about,
Yeah.
how owner-operators can make more money by negotiating. And I
Sure.
think that's spot on.
Yes, sir.
And the thing that you really nailed that I'm completely in agreement with is that understanding what the market is and negotiating for the rate
Yeah.
that exists in that lane,
Yep.
in that market at that time
Right.
is critically important.
Yep.
And I agree. You're not there to beat people up over $50.
Right.
I totally get that, and I respect that. I also understand that if the owner-operator does not ask for the $50, you are not going to give
Oh,
it to
no,
them.
sure.
So the most important thing, I think, that is a takeaway for everybody, every owner-operator that's out there under their own authority, is you've got to ask for the money. So
Sure.
when you see a load posted with a rate, and to your point, 79% of owner-operators don't like to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
So posting that rate gives the broker a much better chance of getting someone to just say, hey, yeah, I'll do that.
Right.
That looks like enough money.
Yeah.
Is it the right money? Probably not. But it's definitely, to them at that moment, might
Right.
be enough.
Yeah.
And that I think is that's the issue. And I think that coming back and, talking about how we, all of us are recognizing that understanding and having confidence in the data that is now available to us because of companies like ITS and other data aggregators, is super important.
Yeah.
Using that data, being confident in it, and knowing that when you're talking to somebody, you're talking to a broker that has had that access to data for a decade.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
just getting it now.
Yeah.
They're confident in it.
Yeah.
We can be confident in the data we have as well, y'all.
Yeah.
This is, if you see that rates are moving in a specific direction, be confident in your number. It's okay to ask for it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to kill them to give that $50 difference. And if you're running 400-mile runs and you're doing 200 a year, that's $10,000 more straight to your bottom line. That is tuition for your kids for college that
Sure it
year.
is.
It makes a difference. And
Yeah.
you gotta ask for it.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to ask.
That's a great point, Mike. Thanks for saying that, and I appreciate using our old school ITS, man.
Old
That's
school.
good stuff.
There it is.
So just and most people, I think we know this, but we don't always remember this. This is a standard economic supply and demand marketplace, and what do I mean by that? If the demand is high and the supply doesn't change, rates will be high. If it reverses, rates will be low. When we went into quarantine, rates went down to $1.50 a mile. Everybody went crazy. Truckers went crazy. I'm going Washington, D.C., and somebody got the attention of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump says truckers should be paid more. And
Right.
I got a call from the Department of Justice. Are brokers price colluding with each other against carriers? And I said, can't answer you. I can show you the data, and I did. And once they saw the data, like, okay, when there's not a lot of freight in the market, prices are low. When there's a lot of freight in the market, prices are high. It's supply and demand. $1.50 last week for all the freight on truckstop.com, which was an average about 1 million loads a day, is $3.11. And I know, look, fuel's killing you right now, and I don't like it either. And the fuel surcharge doesn't catch up fast enough. The point being is to understand the data, understand the marketplace you're in, because it's a standard supply and demand marketplace, and understand where you are. And Michael's right. If you understand that data, it's a lot easier. And sometimes it's not great for you. But if you'll know the data as well as possible, you'll at least maximize where you are. All right, so let's move to the next one. Thanks, Mike, and thanks, George, for those two things. All right, so this is, so I asked Tyler 4 years ago, I said, I want you to talk to the audience about something that's not normally talked about. Because a lot of these things are pretty apparent. And he said, okay. It would be great to talk about how the broker gets the freight. Now, I know that sounds kind of obvious. Well, they get the freight, they call a shipper, and they negotiate, and they figure out their price, and blah, 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 blah. There's a whole lot more to it than that. And if you'll understand what he's going to talk about next, this will help you dramatically. Supply and demand, know that. And this is the other part that will help you dramatically in talking to a brokerage company about helping them move their freight. So, Mr. Johnston, this is
Happy
all
to
you.
share.
Take it away.
The secret sauce.
Yes, sir, right here.
Go to the next slide. So, guys, you could talk to any broker out there. If you're talking to CH, TQL, I saw Coyote up a few times, Mercer Transportation. Surprise, we all get the freight from the customers the same ways. And there's only 3 of them. There's different variations of those 3, but there's only 3 ways that a customer tenders freight. Now, we're dealing with people, pipe makers, whoever. They make pipe and they're great at it, but they don't want to do trucking. That's where I come in. I'm doing trucking. I'm doing logistics. So there's 3 types of freight. There's contract freight. You all remember, well, no, I can't even use that. What customers do with contract freight, these are your big box customers. They send over a booklet, only it's an Excel file, of all the lanes they're going to do in 2023. What is this month? March? Yeah. So here in about a month, I'll get all the lanes they're going to do in 2023. Here you go. Tell me your rates and how much you can do for 2023. And, I'm dealing with Pepsi or Walmart or anybody, okay. So somebody like me sits behind a desk and says, all right, Louisville, Kentucky to Orlando, Florida. I know some of y'all need to get back to Orlando. I could do that. $3.20 a mile plus where's your fuel surcharge? Okay, that matches up. So I fill this thing out. I can do 50 of them. I can do 100 of them. And I go lane by lane by lane by lane by lane. Then I submit it. Then some data analyst on the other side crunches these numbers and says, congratulations, Mercer. You get 50 Louisville to Orlando loads for next year. You're not going to know when they come over. You're not going to know how many of them at one time, but you better move them because you agreed to it. And I say, all right, great. That is fantastic. That's a huge weight on my shoulders. Now I got to find 50 drivers for I don't even know when. I could have a month notice. I could have a week notice. I could have 1 day notice. But I agreed to it. I signed the contract. This is good for a shipper. It controls their budget. It controls their spend to a certain extent. Until they realize that in a marketplace like we have right now, the contract that I signed is about as good as the paper that I signed it on. It's not worth squat because I can't find any drivers. Capacity's too tight. I cannot agree to contract rates right now, which is why I think you see, if you go back to one of the previous early slides, you see that spot market freight trend tend up to 44% right now of recent, because shippers are starting to realize it's most efficient for them. You all remember Rolodex? Actually, I got a bunch of business cards here. You remember Rolodex, where you roll through the business cards? Shippers realize that they have a Rolodex full of carriers that have endless amounts of capacity, and all I have to do is send an email out to them and say, here, you guys fight over my freight. I'm not going to tell who bids what. I'm not going to tell who your competition is, but go for it. Fight for it. That's when you see all the loads hitting truck stop at one time from all the different carriers, your Coyotes, your Mercers, your Landstars, your TQLs, your CHs. We all have the same stuff. and it's all hitting that market at the same time. That's when the building of relationship creates profitability. Because if I know that I have a steady carrier that can do this lane every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to go to that. My job for that customer is to create a relationship with that customer that says, hey, you don't have to email everybody else. Don't do that. Don't get out your Rolodex of carriers. I've got a carrier for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that can do this lane. And here's my rate, $1,300. Every time. That's where that consistency creates profitability. Now all of a sudden I've created this relationship, this dynamic where I've taken a customer away from the spot market of brokers, sending it out to a bunch of brokers, and done it directly from me to you. And that's my job as a broker, is to create that confidence in my work or my ability to find carriers and provide excellent customer service again and again and again. I need to do that to the customer. But I see trends, and the trend speaks, the trend line that you showed earlier speaks volumes, because you see more customers moving away from contract freight because they realize this $2 million budget that we agreed for 2023 is going to be blown out of the water by 150% on transportation budget. I might as well just go to the spot market and let the sharks fight for it. And that's what we're dealing with. So when you start dealing with the consistency, and I want to call this broker or that broker, they all have the same stuff, and this one has it for $100 higher than this one. Guys, we're all just fighting for that same load or that same freight at that time. So if we can create something to get through all that muck quicker, that's a huge help for me, huge help for me. And then the relationship freight, that's number 3. So number 1, contract, big Excel form book that I agree on for a year in advance, but I have no idea what I'm talking about because no one knows what the economy's going to do or what the spot market's going to do. So I can't really agree on these rates, but I'm going to act like I can. Number 2, spot market freight, your Rolodex. Remember Rolodex. All those shippers do is hand out a bunch of loads, and they do it various ways. They do it through email. They do it through TMSs. We have to log on to 1 million websites to get this freight. And they hand it out to us all at one time, and they say, fight over it. And then the relationship freight. I'm trying to get both number 1 and number 2 to become number 3. Okay, that's my ultimate goal as a broker.
So you get all that freight is given to you by yourself to move by yourself.
Yeah, well, I want to
by your
develop.
company.
Yes, I want to develop a relationship with a customer that he knows he doesn't have to send out a big email. He doesn't have to send out a big bid package to me, a contract to me. He's going to call me with enough lead time, and I'm going to provide him exceptional customer service again and again and again at a fair rate.
Right.
So that he can get back to making pipe or whatever he does and not worry about the trucking thing. That's my job. So it's important that you guys know this so that you know what you see when you're seeing these things, or you know what to ask when you're asking, why does Coyote have it for $100 more? Well, we're just, I don't want to say guessing, because we're intelligently determining where the market is, but we're going after the same load with the same customer. It's the spot market.
Right.
It's I don't want to call it a free-for-all, but that's why we have points on there. Lots of competition on both sides. And speed wins.
Right.
Speed and intelligent decision-making, informed decision-making about rates and about current markets. And then the relationship freight, it's usually posted by one broker. You can really develop a relationship through that.
You're talking about relationship with one shipper.
One shipper, yeah.
Right, okay, so not so let me, because we're about to run out of time.
Sorry, I go over.
No,
I get really excited about that
it's
stuff.
fantastic. He just gave you the inside, how they go through their brain, what goes through their brain. So when you call a broker, find a way to politely say, what are your conditions? How are you moving this freight? Is this like an open market contract freight? Is this a spot market load that it's going to be challenged to be out there widespread in the marketplace? Or is this is stuff that you get consistently that you have some opportunity on? So it's important to know these 3 things, because when you're talking to them, you put yourself in their world. When you put yourself in their world, they feel like you understand them a little more, and you're more hopeful. All right? So super important to know whether it's contract, whether it's spot market freight, or whether it's relationship freight.
And I want to go back to contract freight, where
Okay.
it says rate is firm. I don't want that to scare you all. Rate's not firm. Of course, $50.
Rate's firm on your end.
Rate's
To the
firm on
shipper.
my end. So
to the shipper.
To the shipper.
This is why you don't move much on those rates.
Exactly. This is
Right.
why I'm not swinging $300
Right.
or
And the spot market freight, you
$400.
swing more because it's hard to move it.
They're fishing.
And relationship freight, they've got more opportunity there. So knowing these things is super important to you. You're not going to hear this too much in the marketplace, probably not at all, but understanding contract freight, spot market freight, or relationship freight. We can answer one question if somebody's got one question. Real quick.
Gosh.
If not, we'll meet you out in the lobby because I know they're going to want this room. We got a big hand in the back. I can't see you, but I think you got sunglasses on. What's your name? And would you grab and then we'll wrap it up. Yes, sir.
So Rayshawn Lucas is my name.
Rayshawn?
Hey, Ray
Yes,
Sean.
sir.
Good to meet you.
So my question is to one of the responses that you said. Oftentimes when we see the low boards, the differences in the freights and stuff, it's not that we get upset about the small $50 to $100 difference. It's thousands between certain boards. So like your C.H. Robinson, maybe a Coyote, I'm just using these as an example, Landstar, something of that nature.
Right.
$1,000 difference in the rates that are posted. Can you explain how that takes place?
All I can say is that maybe if you can answer that really quickly,
They don't,
I wouldn't.
They don't have it. They don't have the freight. They're fishing. They're looking for something, and they're taking an intelligent guess on what they think the rate may be that they can bring back to the customer and say, hey, I have a truck for $4,000, or I have a truck for $3,000. They're fishing for a carrier.
Right. So other than it's a wide open marketplace, you get the data, find the rate that may be best for you. Oh, George, we got to quit. Come outside. Yeah, that's true. Check the company
out.
Guys from Truck Stop and Mercer, come see us in booth Truck Stop in booth 16160 or Mercer in 19236. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you guys.